In this video, I'm going to show you how to create your very first Jira project. I'm going to walk you through all the steps A through Z. I'm going to give you all the things that you should be considering and understanding before you create your first Jira project, because creating your first Jira project can be detrimental if you set it up the wrong way. But because you watched this video, you're going to know everything you need to know to create a successful first Jira project. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers, so we need you to hit that subscribe button now. So click on that subscribe button down below. And if you do get value out of this video, make sure you hit that like button as well. Let's jump into creating our very first Jira project. Now, I am lying to you a little bit because when you set up Jira for the very first time, Jira forces you to create a Jira project. So you've probably already created a Jira project. You probably most likely have already created your first Jira project, but throw that one in the trash. That one's no good. I'm going to show you everything you need to know to create your true first Jira project. And so follow along with me. First of all, you need to make sure you're an admin. If you're not a Jira admin, you're going to have a really, really hard time. And so you got to make sure that you are a Jira administrator. And so we're going to go over here to projects and click the plus button. Now keep in mind that your projects might be in a different position, especially since we can now configure our side panel over here on the left. And so find projects. That's the first one you're going to want to find, the one with the little rocket. Click the little plus button, and that's going to take us into the project templates. And so the $1,000,000 question here is like, okay, Alex, well, which project template do I pick? There's so many of them, right? Well, we want to answer a very simple question. What kind of a team are you? Because if you're going to be a team that relies on sprints and you want story points and you want like burn down reports, then there's only one template for you. Now, if you're a team that's kind of just new, maybe you're a marketing team, maybe you're a sales team, maybe you're a different type of a team, well, you might not care for story points. You might not care for Scrum. You might not care for sprints. And so, really, you got to ask yourself, are we an agile team? And are we expected to operate in an agile manner? Or do we just need a place to track our work? Because the answer to that question is going to take us in two very distinct paths. So let's go down the most common path, which is software development. So you would pick software development if you are an agile team, because here is where we have the Kanban board and the Scrum board. And either of these are going to take us down the path of agile, and they're going to enable us to be agile, right? So if you pick Kanban, you're going to have that work in progress limits, you're going to have your visualization, your board, and you're going to have a hierarchy of epic stories, tasks, and bugs and whatnot. Now, if you're a Scrum team and you need your story points, you need your sprints, and you need your epics and your stories and your bugs and whatnot, then Scrum is going to be the best template for you. Now, let's assume that you're not any of those, right? Let's assume you're like, hey, Alex, we're not an agile team. We don't even know what Scrum is, nor what does it stand for. Spoilers, it doesn't stand for anything. But if you're like, I just need a place to track my work, well, then you want to go with a work management type of template. Now, in the work management type, we have a lot of different types. So you have to kind of go through each of these and figure out which one you want. Now, my pro tip, ignore all the templates. I would say if this is your very first time, maybe click on one of each just so you can get your feet wet. But what I don't like is that these templates pre-can you into a very specific path. And let's face it, each and every one of you probably have your own unique path. You have your own processes and your own ways of doing work. And so I like to start with a blank project under work management because I'm going to create my own process anyways. And so none of these like out of the box ones that are available are truly going to align to the way you do work anyways. You're going to have to tweak it one way, shape, or another. So I just don't like to muddy the waters, and I like to start with just a blank slate versus creating one of these that already have a predetermined path for me. And so I would recommend, again, that if you are comfortable, start with a blank. But if you're not, maybe you are a process controller, well, this is the workflow you're going to get. And so you can either update them later or you can just accept what Atlassian gives you. But again, it's the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So choose what makes sense for you. I'm going to go with the blank project because this is the best method, again, for my particular team. Now, I'm going to do one for the marketing team. And now I'm going to give it a name. And then I'm going to click on the show more because Atlassian is very sneaky here. They automatically make our projects be a team managed project, and we don't want team managed. Whenever possible, we want company managed. And make sure you check out my other video on the difference between team and company managed. But let me give you a 30-second primer. If you're brand new to Jira and you have no idea what Jira is and you've never taken a class on Jira, and this is probably the first video you're watching on Jira, then team managed project is the way you want to go. Team managed project is going to let you get into Jira in minutes, and you're going to be very successful with Jira to a certain level. Once you have to start scaling Jira, once you have to get 2, 3, 5, 10 different teams working in Jira, team managed projects are going to fall flat on their face. So keep that in mind. However, if you're a little bit more technically savvy and you're like, hey, I love this Jira stuff, I want to learn it. Maybe I am using Jira for the first time, but I have maybe an IT background or some sort of a technical background. Or even if you don't, right? But even if you're just curious, then Company Manage is going to be the option for you because Company Manage is going to give you all the power of Jira. And so you want to take advantage of all the power of Jira whenever possible. And so I always go with Company Manage, but just know that there's a lot more steps involved when you go down Company Manage, but you do get all the power. And so pick wisely and pick intelligently because you can't convert the two. You can't swap between the two. You'll have to create a new Jira project if you change your mind in the future. So I don't ever create team managed projects. So we're going to create a company managed project. And then we got to give it a key. And so the key here is very important. The key is going to be the words that are going to become part of your language. They become part of your everyday conversations with your peers. And so pick something that is easy to roll off the tongue. I have seen this where we have like things like that, where you just have a bunch of random letters that maybe they stand for an acronym. And what you should note is that the first key that is given to you is the first letter of every word you put up in the name. And so keep that in mind. So this might not flow as intuitively off the tip of your tongue. And so call this something, right, that is going to be easy to read. MEP, right? Maybe you want MEEP, right? Something that is easy to say a lot because these letters are going to be attached to a number and you're going to say these numbers a lot. These letters and numbers are going to be part of your everyday conversations and language. And you trust me when I tell you, you don't want a random assortment of letters here. Do something that is easy to read. Okay. So once we have our key, we have our name, we have our project type. You can ignore the share settings. This box here is only available if you do company managed projects because with company managed projects, one of the benefits is that you can share settings. So those workflows, those work types, the fields, all that is shareable. It's not in a team managed project. So once yours looks like mine, click on that create project. And then we're going to watch a little paint dry because the Atlassian tools are going to go and build our project for us. And so here we are inside of our first Jira project, and I'm just going to quickly walk you through what you see. And so first off, you have a summary, and this is going to be a great 10,000 foot view that gives you a good perspective as to what's going on in your work. So you can see all the work broken up by statuses, broken up by work type, by priority, and by assignee. So you know who's working on what. But we're not going to be in the summary a whole lot. We're mainly going to be in our board. And then in the board is where we're going to track our work. And so this is where you're going to create work. And anytime that you hit the create button, it'll default it to do, or you can come in here in any of these statuses and add work. Now, because we did a company managed project, adding statuses is a little bit more involved. And so make sure you reach out to my good friends over at ReleaseTEAM, link down in the description. They got an army of Jira admins ready and willing to help you out. And so make sure you reach out to them if you get confused. But there are steps to adding new statuses and columns to your workflow. And again, in company managed, unlike team managed, it's a little bit more involved. But if you did go with team managed, if you didn't follow my advice, you'll have a plus button right here. You can just add a new column and call it a day. Now, whenever you create new work, it'll show up here. Subscribe to this video, right? If you want to capture work that's already in flight, right? Reach out to ReleaseTEAM for Jira help, right? And so you can basically create your tasks in whatever statuses they are in. And again, you can add more statuses and make sure you subscribe because we will be covering that in future videos. But this is a visual way for your team to basically capture the work that you care for and just work on it. Now, what I do not like about these work management templates is that there is no thought behind it, right? There is no strategic element of it. You are just capturing work. And so you capture your tasks and you work on them. And sure, we can create subtasks. We have a little bit of a hierarchy. We can click on this add button. We can open up one of those tasks and then create a subtask and then go seriously subscribe. Because seriously, we're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. And so you can create these subtasks, right? And then when you go back to your board, they will be visible on your board here. So you can see that there's 0 or 1 and you can see them down here. And that's kind of cool. But again, there's no backlog. There's no place for you to hide the work that you're not quite ready to work on. What you see is what you get with this template. And so I don't necessarily like this template, but this is the easiest way to get into Jira because it allows you to be productive quickly. Right now, if we don't like our board view, we also have a list view where we can see things in more like an Excel style, if you will, We have a calendar view. So if you put start dates and due dates on everything, you'll start to see this here. And then you can also highlight over fields, and I can go subscribe for reals, man. And folks, I wouldn't have to tell you to subscribe so much if you just hit that subscribe button and we'd all hit 100,000 goal and we'd be done with it. But because we haven't, we have a problem. And so we have to call it out. So anyways, we have our task here. We also have a timeline view, which looks a little bit more like a Gantt, which again, really depends on those start and due dates. As you can see here, here's my task that I just created in the calendar view, but in a timeline view. Now, if you want your team to provide feedback, maybe you have a team outside of your team that needs to submit requests, well, you can create a form because the form allows you to essentially capture field data, right? You can capture different types of information that you want, but more importantly, you can share a link that others can bookmark and just have a safe place where they can go and submit work to you. Pages is going to be your connection to Confluence. We'll come back to that in a following video. Any attachments that you attach in any other work types, they'll show up here. And then if you just want to see a list of all the work, you click on issues over here, which this should change to all work in the future, and you just see all your work. And then we have reports. These are just a bunch of different out-of-the-box reports that I recommend you read through and try them out, as each one of them is going to be very specific to what they say in the description. And then finally, we have our plus more over here where we have components. We can create a custom field, if you will, with specific custom values. More on that in a future video. So again, make sure you're subscribed. We have our archived issues. So if you don't want to delete something, you just want to kind of hide it, then we can archive them. And then finally, we have shortcuts, which is just links to any other URL out there in the world. And we do have a plus button over here, but there's nothing more to add. We have everything added in this view. And that, my friends, is a quick overview on how do you create your very first Jira project, specifically one for work. We do have, and I do recommend you create software, because software is going to give you a slightly more advanced version of this. You're going to have a backlog. You're going to be able to be more strategic in how you execute on the work. But if you just need a place for your team to come in and collaborate, then this is probably going to be good enough for you. If you found this video valuable, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but seriously, we're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button now. And then if any of this was overwhelming, you're like, I don't even know where to start still, even after watching this video, use that link down in the description. My good friends over at ReleaseTEAM are ready to help you out. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.